And I'll call on Deputy Owen Murphy. You have 10 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. No, I do welcome the bill, and I congratulate Deputy Dooley on all the effort he's taken to draft it. And I welcome the measures contained within the bill. And I note the Minister's intention to transpose elements of the bill into his own legislation, and I think that's a good demonstration both of the reforms here in the House in terms of the Friday sitting, but also the fact that ministers, where they are reforming ministers like Minister Varadkar, will actually engage in a positive way and take on board the proposals being put forward in legislation and then transpose them into their own legislation. I think that's a welcome thing to note today. I do wonder, though, that we need to make sure that the Friday bills that have been taken here in the House are taken to committee where they're not taken into legislation by the Minister. Otherwise, what's the point in backbenchers like myself or Deputy Dooley or Deputy Murphy drafting them and bringing them forward for debate? So we need to look and see how many bills are coming from Friday and then coming on a Friday and then moving into committee. And if bills aren't going into committee as a result of the Friday sittings, why not? We need to ask ourselves that question. I think, we're listening to Minister Varadkar's statement on this issue. The decline in fatalities on the road, as well as serious injuries over a decade, that's a serious decline, and it's very, very welcome. But equally, it's worrying to see that the number is creeping back up this year in relation to fatalities. And as the Minister said, there's a number of reasons for this, and so we need to approach the area from a number of angles. But it is a worrying trend, and something that I think we need to pay attention to, because we've been going in the right direction in this area for so long. It would be a bad thing if we were to then, for whatever reasons, take a step back. I think Deputy Murphy has made some very interesting points in relation to a couple of things then in this area, and I think in relation to the presence of Gardaí on our roads at the moment, it is noticeable, particularly in Dublin. Another point that Deputy Murphy made was in relation to the condition of roads. And again, that's noticeable in Dublin too, and I know that the Minister has been fighting his own battles to retain funding in his budgets for the maintenance and the upgrade of roads. There isn't enough money there to be spent at the moment. I think that's something we need to look at, because that is a cause in certain instances of fatalities on the road, and certainly serious incidents. And we see that in relation to incidents around cyclists as well, where the maintenance of the carriageway beside the footpath or that median isn't being maintained. There's potholes developing, and as a result, the cyclist finds themselves in a dangerous situation. They swerve out of the way, the car has to swerve, and then in certain instances it has related in an accident. So that's something that we do have to look at. And of course, we have to think about this in a joined-up manner, as Deputy Murphy was alluding to, in trying to figure out what is the actual cost. Because if it's a question of spending, say, 50 million on maintaining our roads and improving them and working on health and safety around our roads, to save 100 million or 200 million down the road when it comes to the health aspect of these things and the money that's spent after an injury or after an accident, then that's something we should look at in terms of how we invest our money prudently in our infrastructure in the state. The issues that Deputy Dooley are talking about in this bill in relation to hit and run are very serious ones. And I want to raise a road safety issue that's not as serious, but it is relevant, and seeing as the Minister is in the chamber, and it relates to the behaviour of pedestrians and cyclists breaking traffic laws. And in some instances, particularly in relation to cyclists, they are involved in hit and run events themselves, and it's becoming more of a menace on Dublin's city streets and on our pavements. And I think it's time that we start looking seriously at introducing on-the-spot fines for cyclists or pedestrians who are in breach of traffic laws. It happens in other countries. A cyclist is cycling the wrong way down the street, a cyclist breaks a red light, a cyclist is found on the footpath, and the Gardaí there, or the traffic warden, is able to stop the person and find them on the spot, and where that person doesn't have the money on them, walk them to the ATM. It happened to myself when I was in Prague a number of years ago, where I was caught, say, on the subway there without a ticket, and I was walked to an ATM and I had to take the money out. There's no reason why we can't do it here. I think we should start to do that, because the incidence of traffic, of cyclist deaths is small in the city, and it has reduced. But the incidence of cyclists cycling in a dangerous manner, particularly on footpaths or through parks where they're meant to dismount, is rising, and it is causing injury to people. And we want to make sure that we can, while we want to increase the number of cyclists on the road, because I think that's the good thing, and the way to make cycling safe actually is to have more people cycling. What we want to make sure is that people are cycling in a responsible manner. We have great educational programs at the moment for children at a young age, and we see children now wearing the helmets and they're wearing the high visibility vests. But we see adults cycling on footpaths, and that is dangerous. And if we want to stop that behaviour, we have to do that through fines, I think, because the simple warning or another pedestrian shouting at them, asking them to get off the footpath, isn't going to change behaviour. Cyclists will continue to break the lights if no one's stopping them and calling them on it and finding them for their behaviour. So I'd ask the Minister, while he's here in the chamber, to consider those types of measures, so we can, of course we need to look at how people are driving on the roads. That's essential. because that's the most dangerous vehicle on the road from the point of view of safety. But we have to look at the behaviour of pedestrians and cyclists too, because they are part of everyone who is sharing the road, and they have been in circumstances part of the cause of accidents that have happened, both in terms of fatalities and serious injuries. But coming back to the measures contained in the bill, I do note the concerns that the Minister has in relation to certain elements of the bill, and I support him in that. But insofar as the efforts he is making to take Deputy Dooley's other elements of the bill in relation to hit-and-run cases into his own legislation, I welcome that. And I congratulate Deputy Dooley on the measures and for bringing them forward in legislation today on the Friday. So, thank you.